Welcome. Thank you for coming out on this very cold night on the first day of spring. Everybody's bundled up. Remember to sign in if you didn't, because we have some fantastic door prizes thanks to one of our favorite, maybe our favorite sponsor. So everybody, make sure you sign in. We need that for record of attendance as well as door prizes. Did everybody get your newsletter, March newsletter? Yay, you did. Thanks to Lisa Pruitt and her team, Janet and Pam, who helped with that. It was a really great newsletter with lots and lots of information in it. So read it from top to bottom. Delana, can you tell us how many members we have now?
120.
120. We're joined tonight by one of our newest members, Bill Mudge. Bill, would you like to tell us about your...
I mean, not really, but...
Oh, come on. Speech. Love it. Madison's making you.
And Phillips. Bill Mudge, I take some classes from Madison, and he forced me to join.
You will not regret it.
Born and raised in Birmingham, practiced law for 42 years, been painting since I was a kid. But the abstract stuff that Madison's doing was intriguing, so I've been 8 months. Learning a lot and having a lot of fun. So I figured I'd dial into this group, see what's going on,
We're glad.
and meet some people and see what's on.
Yeah, it's great. Now I'm going to ask Denise to come up and give us a treasurer's report, please.
You know you look forward to this. We have $19,700 in the bank as of the end of February.
Repeat that, please.
What?
Repeat that, please.
$19,700. And for the month of February, we received $4,649 on our fees for the show applications. It's not an even number because we've deducted from that the internet fees and processing fees, and we had $974 in membership fees, and about $1,100 in various expenses related to the show and other things. So we get our money and spend our money in the first 5 months. So we have a nice little nest egg so that we can spend money on our show. Right? These ladies are getting ready to
Right.
say.
The next thing, I'm going to invite our show chairs to come up and tell us what's going on. Lois and Sarah.
I just got my notes.
Oh, good.
I'm a mind.
Lois is a spokesperson.
Oh, no, I don't know about that. Anyway, Lois Mash, Sarah Crook, it's all our fault. But gosh, I have learned so much about this organization. All I ever really did past was show once a year at our show. Showed up with my tent and all my artwork and thought, wow, this is easy.
Just happened, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Well, and you know, the hardest so far was getting all the artist applications and making sure every artist, you know, was qualified to come into the show. And you know what all those were, of course. How many are here that are in the show this year? Wow, okay, great. And I tell you, Sarah was fabulous during that process. She talked to everybody, she really did. Made everyone feel good about themselves, whether they got in or not, although I think we only have a couple of them.
3 on the wait list.
Thank goodness we had, we talked the city into expanding the show down the sidewalk, and that pretty much took care of it. I would say 6 more. So we appreciate that, and I'm not showing this year, I got behind, but I hope those of you who are showing will submit a painting for the floral competition, which is open to all the artists and all the volunteers. I think we at one point thought that maybe all the members could submit, but, apparently that's not.
Just the artists in the show.
Yeah.
And
And volunteers. So we have 60 artists in the show, because we've added those spots from City Hall. We're gonna send an email out with the show participants, for all the show participants, called the Spring Show Tips and Ideas. We thought that by emailing that out, it'd be easier than trying to navigate through the website and get them. But I encourage those of you who have never shown before to please read them front to back 2 or 3 times, because they're real informative. So the other thing is, don't forget your checkbook. I hope you all still write checks, because you'll need 3 checks to pay the city, county, and state taxes before you leave the show. And all that information will be in the artist package, which you'll get that morning, and at the hospitality tent. Also, you should have received the graphic that you can put on Facebook, save the date, and the cards. And we have, all the yard signs in the back.
Yeah, for anybody that has a yard that shows up where a lot of traffic, please take a sign tonight. Start, I think, put them up like the 1st of April. Go ahead and put them up in your yard.
That'd be good.
So, yeah.
And just in case you get cold feet, you can withdraw from the show and get a refund, before March 31st. So, I don't think any of y'all are gonna do that, but, we have to at least give you that chance. So when are we gonna share the maps and where everybody is?
As soon as we get that.
Yeah.
We're close on the.
Oh, it's early day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be probably, mid-April to, before y'all will know when your tent's gonna be, or your food's inside.
And I think the majority of you pretty much know that already anyway, I think, but,
Yeah, when you're inside out.
yeah.
And I am gonna pass this volunteer sheet for those of you that are not in the show. Volunteers are huge to get this show to work. And we really need the workers for the hospitality desk, morning shift, afternoon shift. We need, runners to help the artists. We need, people to handle the desk for the sales, hand out flowers, help with the displays. Janet Tillery display and the floral display, the floral competition display. So I'll pass this around.
And if you volunteer, are
And
you
if you
still
volunteer,
allowing?
2 paintings.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
That's
floral
big
and
selling.
then whatever you want to submit, as just a volunteer. Well, and if we don't get this filled out, we're gonna have to go to our golf group, and put pressure on our golf agents to come help with this work. I think is that everything? Okay, great. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Speaking of volunteering, when I first joined Mountain Brook Arts Association several years ago, I was not interested in showing. I didn't have enough artwork, I wasn't going to do it, but I didn't know anything about it. And I volunteered for 2 or 3 shows before I ever showed anything, and it's a great way to learn more about it. And it's also a lot of fun. So that, I highly encourage you to volunteer if you're not in the show, because it really does, it does take a village. It takes a lot of people, and we could use some help. And one other thing that I wanted to say about, preparing for the show, you will get all that information, but Pam talked to me earlier, Pam Benoit, our recording secretary. Last year, we had a panel of artists in April who talked about showing, and it was great. It was recorded. recorded, and we will, tell you where the link is to that. It'll be, I guess, last year's April show, but, also after the next meeting in April, when Marsha Hodges is our guest artist, Marsha was on that panel, so she might have a thing or two to say about it. And we also would be happy to stay after and talk with people if they have questions. So don't be afraid if it's your first show, if you need a little encouragement or information. And finally, last thing before we introduce our guest artist is we're working on having a small work show at the end of the year. We're generating ideas. If you have ideas, if you want to be involved, let me know. We're forming a committee and looking for places first, and then we'll go from there. But several people have already told me they're interested, and I appreciate that. And go see Tim Blanton's show at Rojo. It'll still be up for the rest of the month, right? It's a beautiful show, and needs to be viewed. So now I'll invite Madison up to introduce our guest artist. She's been sitting over there.
So, been looking forward to tonight for quite some time. Ahmad is an excellent painter, really beautiful stuff. I haven't known Ahmad that long, but we've painted together quite a few times at different charity events. Beautiful work, acrylic, palette knife, instantly recognizable, which is hard to come by. But on top of being an artist, he's also an instructor, teacher at Hoover High, for 20.
I've been teaching about 20 years.
20 years.
3 years, somewhere around there.
That's,
Teach art, yeah.
Yeah, teaching art. That's 20 years of sending the elevator back there. Really admirable. So, beautiful work, and yeah, so thanks so much.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you guys for having me, inviting me out. Thank you, Madison. I think I did a demonstration a long time ago with you guys, probably maybe, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago. So I'm glad to be invited again. My name is Ahmad Austin again. I'm an art teacher. I've been teaching for about 23, 4 years now, somewhere around there. We got to count. I love teaching kids. I taught at Birmingham City, and now I teach in Hoover City. Taught most of my, I need to get the camera, I'm sorry. Most of my career has been elementary. I taught a little bit of middle school, and now I teach high school at Hoover High. We have a total of 6 art teachers at Hoover High, so it's a big school. I enjoy that. We have ceramics teacher, a photography teacher, painting teacher, what else? Sculpture teacher. So just a nice range of mediums to work with. So our kids have a nice advantage. So they get to experience a lot of things, which is pretty cool. One of the things I tell everybody is that since I've taught elementary, middle school, and high school, of course you all know each group is different. How many teachers or retired teachers? Ms. Kathy, okay, good. So you might know what I'm about to explain. So elementary, I love elementary. That's kind of one of my favorite groups. Elementary kids, they come up to you, hey, Mr. Austin, we love you. They come up and hug me and that kind of thing. Middle school, I can't stand you, Mr. Austin. And then high school, it's like they don't even speak to you at all. They on their phone, I can say good morning, good afternoon. They're not saying me. They're not even thinking about me. So, but I miss the hugs from the elementary, but I also like the high school students because they're kind of more focused. They know what they want to do and kind of, direct them in the path they want to go. So we got a lot of kids that are, let's say, going to SCAD. We have some kids that are going to architect, at Auburn and so forth. So this feels good to kind of be a part of that, to kind of guide them when they graduate from high school. So I like that. I paint with a palette knife. Lately I've been kind of playing around with abstracts, but I paint with acrylic paint. I don't know if you guys got one of these sheets of paper, so if you didn't, you can get one on the way out. Just kind of run through a little bit about some of the things that I do and some of the things that I'm working on. I paint with acrylic. I used to paint with oil when I first finished college. always kept messing with my sinus, the lensing and all that. I kept sneezing, so I kind of moved away from that. Started working with acrylic. We talked about 20 years ago too. So, and I just fell in love with acrylic paint. I love that it's forgiving, you know, so if it dries, I can always just wait till it dries. If I mess up, it dries and I can just paint over it. During the time when I graduated from college, I was thinking about, you know, pursuing my career as far as an artist, participating in art shows. And, you know, when you leave college, all they teach you is landscapes, you know, still life. And I was kind of bored with that, but that's all they train you when you learn how to paint in college. So I was kind of bored with that, and I said, I want to kind of step out and kind of play around and kind of do something different. So one day, I applied for an art show, and one day I was trying to say, I need to do something else, because all my attempt was going to be apples and oranges, basically what I learned in college. And I was like, I want to kind of do something different. So I picked up the palette knife one day, just let me just play around with this. And once I picked it up, I just fell in love with it. I love how you can create textures. I love how you can scratch with the palette knife. You can't be detail oriented when you're painting with a palette knife because you're painting with a knife. However, you get to create some cool textures and make some cool techniques with the palette knife. So as I was playing around with it, I started playing around with different musicians and stuff, and just kind of playing around. So as time went on, I kind of developed my own style where I was painting square head musicians. And some of you, I know a lot of you guys seen some of my work around town. So that's kind of how I kind of developed my style, just kind of playing around with the palette knife. I like music, I love jazz music. My dad played jazz music around the house when I was younger. At the time, I couldn't stand it, but as I got older, I grew appreciation for it. And I tell them all the time, like, I couldn't stand this when you play this around the house. But as I got older, you know, you get appreciation for it, the jazz music. So that's kind of my thing. I listen to all types of music, but I love playing music while I'm painting. I love color. You can tell from all my work, I love color. I love color. So a lot of times when I'm painting, I just try to create different types of techniques with the textures. I like showing painting in layers. Some of the things that you can see in my work, I do a lot of small pieces. Some of the things you see in my work, you see a lot of the textures. This is done on paper. I paint on canvas, paper, so forth. I like using mixed media paper because it holds the paint, the acrylic paint. This mixed media paper doesn't bulk up when I put paint on top of it, so I love using the mixed media paint. So I love this paint. This is gray tone, but I also use the white, just regular plain white mixed media paper. Here are some small pieces that I do. I'm gonna pass a couple of these around so you just kind of see the texture and so forth. I get to put this up. Yeah. I'll put a few more up here. There you go. Feel free to ask me questions as I go on. I try to, for the main part, have a lot of texture. I love textures. If you just rub your hand on some of those pieces, you can feel the nice thick texture. When I paint with a palette knife, I use primarily 3 knives, usually a big one, a medium-sized one, and a small one. Most of the time, I use this kind of narrow skinny one. I love pointed palette knives to just kind of get in some of those little tight areas. So I love using the palette knives with the pointed tip. Most of the palette knives I use are with a metal blade. I have had times where I use plastic palette knives, and I was in the zone and just going crazy, and they break on me. So I just kind of like my palette knives with the blade. So those are the tools that I use. Like I said, I paint on canvas, paint on paper. I also paint on wood. So I've done a lot of paintings. Some of you guys may have had some of my old pieces where I painted on wood. So I use a lot of those surfaces to paint on. As far as paint, I use Liquitex or Golden. You know, Golden's a little expensive, so I kind of play around between that and Liquitex. I like those two because they're a little bit more heavy body and they create nice texture. So those are the main 2 brands that I use. Of course, I go to 4-Star a lot. There we go. I've worked with him for a long time, you know, a long time. We've done classes together.
20 years.
20 years, yep. Right when I got out of college, you know, we've done a lot of stuff together, so I appreciate it. So I've done, I don't know, just chill, but I've done a lot of paintings from not just musicians, but also flowers and churches and so forth. I also teach a painting class. Well, I have an online painting class that you can find at the bottom of this sheet of paper with ahmadaustin.com. So if you're interested in learning how to paint for the palette knife, it's just videos of showing you how to paint different things. Not musicians, but more so flowers, angels, churches, you know, things that we like here in the South, I should say. So I have a lot of those kind of videos there as well. Let's see. When I do paint with the palette knife, I always have a lot of paper towels, For the main reason is, a lot of times when I paint with the palette knife, sometimes if I don't wipe my knife when I'm going to another color, my painting can get muddy. So in order for me to keep a muddy paint, I try to make sure I wipe off my knife when I'm going to another color or another section of the painting. I like to paint in layers. Here's my first layer of the ground of my canvas, which is green. I'm going to paint coneflowers. I don't know what I love about coneflowers. I love the shape of coneflowers. So I'm going to paint coneflowers, but I'm going to paint in layers. I'm just going to paint layers on top of layers, and also let some of this green, dark green show when I'm painting on top of it. So I'm going to put light green and dark green on top of it. So just love to paint in layers. I use the scratching technique where I use the tip of my palette knife and I kind of scratch out some of the paint to let some of my ground show and my underpainting show. You'll see a lot of that in those jazz musician paintings where I scratch some of those, some of the wet paint and let some of that background show. Yes, Tom?
For a man with a big, bald, round head, why do you square off the head? I've always wanted to know.
I don't know. You know what? I think it's more so, for some reason, the square heads represent universal, everybody. I don't know why, but something about the square head represents we all the same or universal. That's the only thing I can think of. Yeah. All square heads. We're all blockheads. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why. I like to paint wet on wet. So a lot of times when I'm painting, I try to finish my painting all in one sitting. I like when my, let's say my trumpet is black and it's wet, and then I have my background blue. I like to mix some of that blue from the background with my black trumpet, if that makes sense. I love painting wet on wet. So most of the time I try to finish a painting all in one set. That don't happen all the time, especially if I'm using a big canvas. But for the most part, I try to finish the whole painting in one setting. I have done paintings where I've done portraits of little kids. I'm a teacher, so little kids are just my heart. So here's a painting where I've done with the palette knife. Trying to do a face with a palette knife, it is tough. I will say that it is tough, so this took some time. This was kind of hard to do in one setting because, I mean, you know, a lot of shadows going on with the face, so it kind of, I might mess up on the nose or the mouth, so I always had to come back. But trying to paint a, portrait with a palette knife, this is tough, but it could be doable.
You didn't use the brush at all?
No, didn't use the brush at all. The only time I use the brush when sign my name right here, so that's the only time I use the brush. And of course, when I outline the face and everything, I use the brush.
Beautiful.
But yeah, thank you. So this, I also collaged it with some paper here, and I glued it down, just kind of do some clothes here that I added to the shirt. So again, I'm always trying to stretch myself and just kind of play around and just kind of do things a little bit out of my comfort zone. Like I said, when I first started painting, I was doing the typical things right out of college, landscapes, still life, and that kind of thing. It just kind of over time just kind of evolved. I'm trying to just go where my interests are, and sometimes what the sales are too, just being honest. So, and that was one of the things that made me kind of move towards my musician painting. When I first did my show, the first show I did was Birmingham Art Walk, and I had my jazz pieces out, I had my still lifes out, I had landscapes, a little bit of everything. I was all over the place. And when I saw my jazz pieces sell a lot, I was like, we're gonna go in that direction. So that's kind of another reason why I went that direction too. Just to be honest, you gotta go with what sells. Any questions so far? I know I'm kind of going. I'm going fast. Any questions? Yes.
Do you draw it out first?
Yeah, I draw first.
You draw?
I draw it out first, and then then I just use the palette knife from there on. Painting.
Do you do everything from your imagination, or do you use reference?
The jazz musicians, I've been doing them so long, I kind of do it, just my eyes closed. There are times where I have sat and watching a band play, and I'll sketch out a few things, just to kind of get the movement and stuff like that. And also just find images online, just kind of get their movements. My main thing is, a lot of people ask me, why you don't, paint eyes on your jazz musicians or your nose or mouth? My main thing is to grab capture the energy of the music and also just capture the movement of the musicians. I love capturing a guy playing the trumpet, leaning back. I love that. I want to capture that more than the eyes and the mouths and the nose and that kind of thing. Whereas the portrait, I'm trying to focus on the face, but with my musicians, I'm more about the color, the energy, how you feel when you look at the painting. I've had so many people who bought my painting and said that every time they walk by that painting in their house, it makes them feel happy. So I feel like I've come to my goal once, when they say that. So that's kind of one of my main reasons why I paint the way I paint with the jazz musicians. Any more other questions? Any more? So I'm going to go ahead and start painting. Like I said, I painted the background here with just a green. I'm going to do cone flowers. For some reason, I just got a love for shape of cone flowers, so I'm going to do that. I want to outline it first. I'm not gonna really worry about composition. I'm just gonna kind of put the flowers all over. And again, I'm just gonna work in layers. Like some of you guys might have paper. I'm just gonna work in layers, use scratching techniques, and then define the shapes of the cone flowers. And gotta make sure that I kind of keep my knives clean so my paint won't get muddy. And of course, I'm not really looking at a reference right now. I'm just kind of just drawing from memory. I just love the shape. Can you guys see me? I know I'm kind of.
And you've done flowers.
Yeah, I've done it. Yeah, oh yeah.
A million.
Here I'm just using a white paint, just so you guys can see in the back. So here I kind of got an outline of all my flowers. And I'm just going to start adding layers. Please feel free to ask questions,
And then we're all mesmerized.
I haven't done anything yet.
Why do you use the plates?
Plates, they're easy to throw away.
It's not to do with the knife?
No. I like the plates because I have a little more room to mix and spread the paint around too as well.
Mom, what's the biggest painting you've ever done?
The one that you made. Yes. Mm-hmm. I forgot what size that was. It was about 8 feet something. Can't remember. Yeah.
It was taller
It
than
was.
you.
Yeah, it was. It was. What was that again?
That was the biggest?
That was the biggest. Mm-hmm.
How do
Yeah.
you transport that?
I had to get a van. Yeah, I got a van. He made it for me, and I got a van to pick it up and then paint on it, and then shipped it off to. Well, not shipped. Well, I took it up to North Carolina. A client bought a painting. It was 8 feet. I can't remember how big. It was pretty big though. Yeah, and she bought 3 of them. So yeah. Yeah. She commissioned. She did one. Then she wanted some more, but they wasn't as big as the other ones though.
What were they
The jazz musicians. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you give a lot of commissions?
Yeah. Lately it's been kind of slow, but I have got some. I know during COVID I got a lot. Everybody was at home, so I think a lot of artists got a lot of commissions during that time.
Do you like them generally?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm. Until they get a little. Sometimes, let's see how to say. Sometimes.
I bet we all know.
Too much direction. Yeah. I want it to be this way, not just Sometimes it can be a little challenging. Some commissions pieces. But for the most part, most people know what kind of work I do, so they're just like, hey, do your thing, but I want this color. I want this to match my whatever. So, So we're just gonna assume that the light is coming in left, on the left side, so all my shadows are gonna be on the right. So they're just gonna kind of go in. This is my favorite size palette knife, like a medium size. I can do more with this, you know. And here, just gonna kind of go over here, just use purple. I'm just kind of going in, just adding layers.
So you just really taught yourself to paint with a palette?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Did you find it frustrating at first?
Yeah, a little bit. One of the things, like I said, kept getting muddy, and I just had to remind myself to wipe off the paint off my palette knife. Because sometimes I'm in the zone, I just want to go, and then I realize, oh, I got this color on it, and it started to get muddy. So that's one of the things that I've learned. Or just kind of do this, wipe it off.
You can sell that apron.
Oh yeah, I've sold a couple before.
I know some palette knives have more spring in them.
Yeah,
Do
they
you
do.
like those better than the ones that?
Yeah, most of the time it's the metal ones I feel like are the better ones. And some people would disagree, you know, it's all on preference, you know.
Yeah.
Some people say the plastic ones do.
Do you use any medium, Mr. Gray?
I used to, but now I just use the paint straight out of the tube. And if I want to make it thick, I'll just just pile it on there.
So, Ahmad, how old are your two kids?
16 and 14. Yeah, 16, 14. Yeah, they're at the high school with me. So here, just gonna add a little orange here. And I feel like painting with a palette like putting icing on a cake. It's just all you do is just scooping up the icing and just kind of lathering on the cake. So that's kind of how I look at it.
And you're not blending, you have to put it down next to it.
Yeah, right now I'm kind of putting it in kind of like in blotches, so to speak. I'm not mixing it right now. I can, but right now I'm not. And like with this purple against this orange, it could get muddy. I'm just trying to be careful from not letting it get too muddy. And I'm just going from dark to light, from right to left. Start on my petals. I come back to the top of the knife. Here I'm just kind of letting some of that paint sit up there. I love that texture. I'm just gonna leave it there. Let's go to the next petal. And one thing about the palette knife, I mean, you can't be too detailed because you're painting with a palette knife, so I don't really go for trying to get it exact, you know, with the shape or some of the lines and with the shapes of the knife, of the petals, excuse me. Some of this purple here that I like, just bring it down some. Move some of this paint. If I don't have enough here, I'm just gonna kind of stretch it out here without losing some of that texture. I can always come back in and define the shape of the petals a little later. I just want to get the gist of the shape of the flower. Here I'm using cadmium red, straight out the tube. And again, I love the pointed tip, so it kind of helped define the shape of the petal too. So I like that. I just feel like the coneflower just has so much character. The petals sticking out and flying everywhere, so I love it.
art shows do you usually do during the year?
Kentucky, Birmingham Art Wall, Bluff Park, so one of those. We'll do a few, sometimes out of state.
What did you think about Kentucky this year? Since
I
they
loved
changed the
it.
venue?
I loved it.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Had a lot more space. We didn't have all that dirt and rocks and those kind of things, so I liked it. And sales were good this year too, last year too. So again, I also use the tip of my knife also to help define the shape of the pedal, even while it's wet. Even let some of that green show from the background. I kind of like that too. So sometimes I don't cover the whole, shape of the object I'm painting. Sometimes I let some of that go. Even if it doesn't, match, I still like some of that. I just feel like with a knife, you can do so many different things. A little orange in my petals a little bit. Just going from dark to light. Kind of like a medium red here. Just kind of add into it. Just putting layers upon layers. Go over here a little bit. A lot of you guys painted with a palette knife before, or no? Yeah.
No, it's making me want to.
Make one. Can you see the dimensions of the petal from back there? Can you see?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you get it so thick, does it take a long time for it to dry?
Let's say about a good hour or so, 30 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes should be dry, yeah.
Long's a relative term.
That's true, that's true. Do anybody know Laura Browning? Laura Browning, she paints, yeah. She took one of my classes, she's doing really well.
On your matted pieces that you have, that you passed around,
Uh-huh.
are those typically framed under glass?
Yes, they are,
Okay.
yeah. Yep.
Do you varnish them, or they just?
Yeah, I varnish them,
Okay.
yeah, use a clear varnish, Lakewood takes, varnish.
Ahmad, have you ever mounted them on board?
Talking about my smaller pieces?
Yeah.
No, I haven't, I just kinda,
You like the mat?
I like the mat and then put them in the frame. When I first started, I used to paint this on, I would go to Lowe's and just cut up a piece of wood and just gesso the wood and then paint them on those too as well.
Yeah, I've got some of them.
You got some? But as time went on, wood started costing a little bit more, so I went to paper. So now I'm gonna kind of go do a third layer, which is a lot lighter. Just kind of highlight, you know, kind of make it pop a little bit. Yeah, and I'm just kind of just kind of glazing it, barely touching it, not putting a lot of pressure on it, you know, on my knife, just kind of. But again, I'm also not blending it in because I don't want to mess up the
See,
red.
that's why I can't believe you're not, it doesn't blend. I mean, you must have so much control.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because I got this kind of medium red, dark red, and got a medium red and a light red. So I want to make sure you see all three of those different reds in there without, you know, mixing it and stuff. So.
So did you just add white to the candy and red?
Yes, I did. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There've been times where I add a little yellow to it. It all depends, you know. Again, I'm not looking at a reference. I'm just kind of using my own judgment, you know, as I put my lights. But like if I was to, let's say, put a lot of pressure and just add all this, you know, it kind of loses its effect when you see the three different reds. So I kind of just glaze it a little bit, just barely touch it. And also I don't kind of, how do I say, smooth it out too much, because again, it start blending all three of the reds. So I just kind of like, just barely touch it.
How much do you paint at home after you teach all day?
That's a good question. One thing that I'm grateful for, my classroom is so big, so I use that as my studio now. Yeah, so I paint at home, yeah. Again, and then once I add that, I kind of wipe it off. Y'all notice that? I wipe it off so I won't, and then I just kind of get that light red again. Just kind of, because again, it'll start mixing in, and you know, since I'm using red and white, it's not really noticeable. But I'll use the different colors, it'll start getting all muddy and stuff, you know. So just have to be careful with that.
Got a friend of mine in Nashville who paints on foam board.
Oh, really? How does that hold? Is that acrylic?
Yeah, that's interesting, and he does the whole thing, he builds the whole frame, he glues it all together, so like you pick it up and it's like, it's very interesting, yeah, so everything is painted, the frame, and he can do relief, you know, so.
Okay, all right.
It's pretty interesting, he just, I guess he's got, he's got something to cover
Well,
on.
you know, now they're gonna
When you say foam board, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like, it's like
gator board?
almost like you do an exhibit, you know?
Yeah.
Okay,
You know,
yeah.
like just, white
That's what I wanted to
foam.
make sure.
And some of the pieces are thicker, but it's, I'm guessing because it's got to be inexpensive.
Yeah.
And it's
Super
archival.
light.
It's archival too.
It's hard to hang them because the back is, there's nothing to really attach to. There's nothing hard.
That's really good. You can paint on it. Still light.
No, the whole thing's it's all glued together, so it looks like wood. Yeah, so the frame is all painted. It's all painted.
White. There you go. Go back to the top part of my cone flower, just add a little yellow here. So everything's still wet, so just gotta be careful, not letting it get too muddy. So I'm just gonna kind of touch it there. So I got orange on my knife. I have a choice, I can go back in, so I might, since it's not much, a lot of orange, I can kind of do this one. But then as I get to the other, I wanna wipe some of that orange off, go back to the yellow, and start over like that.
So how do you fix it when it does get muddy?
I just kind of either sometimes wipe it all off or just put paint on top, a little bit thicker paint on top of it. That's a good question, yeah. But just things you just have to be conscious of when you paint it. use the tip of my knife to kind of help define the shape, top part here. I kind of like grabbing some of that yellow and orange, kind of put it down here, a little bit in the flower petal. So. Come back in and help define some of these petals if I want to. Feel like I need one more petal out here.
I gotta brag on it just a little bit, but we've done, Art Blink 2 years in a row now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, paying live at the Carpenter Clinic and whatnot. I always look over and there's just this mass of people surrounding Ahmad, watching him paint with a palette knife, and it's just, there's a, you know, a line.
Thank you, I appreciate it. That was a fun night too. All for a good cause.
What did you paint, this year for our?
What did I paint? I paint a guitar player.
Oh, did you?
Mhm,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's probably your.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of my thing, yeah.
Madison, what did you paint?
Paint the sunflower.
That's what I, yeah.
So for art play, you pretty much paint the painting at home and know exactly what you're gonna do? No?
Well, I mean, live painting, I sketch mine out.
Yeah, I do too. I
Yeah.
sketch mine out too.
A
Just
lot of abstract artists.
Mhm.
I think we were one of the few.
Yeah, that's not abstract, yeah.
Representation.
Right.
Joan Curtis here is usually.
Yeah, I just did an abstract, sketch. Originally, they told us it had to be a white canvas with nothing on it, but they've gotten a little bit
Oh,
more.
I missed that memo.
Yeah, over time, yeah, they said that a while back. Over
It's a
time.
bit more lenient now, people
Right.
have a little pencil line
Right.
and stuff now.
So,
I
yeah.
didn't get the memo.
No, that's fine.
I just noticed it last time.
Yeah, I kind of have my thing pre-drawn
I
out.
said, well, Lord, why did y'all tell me?
You don't have a lot of time.
No, you don't.
I mean,
And then you have people coming up talking to you.
People coming up and talking to you, and then they sit me next to the bar. And y'all can't quit talking to me.
How you got to be in art play? Who asked you?
They invite you.
They invite
Who's the
you, yeah.
They have 3 young girls that are head of,
There's a secret handshake and a password. I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah.
I've been doing it for a while. I know, they changed out some of the people that run it, well, I say run it, but, organize it. So I think a lot of times they find artists, you know, at an art show. That's how they found me. I was doing an art show, art festival here in Birmingham. So, I think that's how they found a lot of artists.
I think.
How did you get found?
They emailed me out of the blue.
Oh, really? See,
Yeah,
there you
I'm
go.
like,
But they had to find your work from somewhere.
Yeah, I'm
somebody.
like,
Yeah.
sure. Sure.
You get to keep copies of this yourself.
Uh,
You're donating your time.
So you paint that you do live, you're donating, because it's auction. And there's a bid sheet, so people are coming by and bidding, which is, you know, really fun. And you've got 2 paintings that you can bring, that you can sell.
They call it gallery,
Yeah. It's great
but
exposure.
it's a 60-40 split, so they get 40%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you can't be doing it for money, cause it costs you.
Right. I agree. However, you do get people who attend the event reach out to you later and say, hey,
Oh, yeah.
like the big piece that I did that Philip created for me, the canvas that he made for me, it was from Artbling, a lady who saw my work at Artbling. And but she attended years ago, and she just reached out to me and said, hey, I bought that painting with you. I want another one. I got a new house in North Carolina or whatever. So it has its pluses.
Me being next to Mark.
Yeah, you been there to the park. All right, so I'm gonna do my background. I still get my petals are still wet, which I like. I could add some more layers, but right now I'm just gonna go ahead and work on my background. And here I'm just gonna kind of layer it right here. And I'm gonna get a little bit lighter. It's too close to what I already have. see about this. Yeah, that's a little bit lighter. So here, just putting the paint on top. Let some of that paint sit up. I love that. I love it, love it, love it. Because when it dries, I just want you to rub your hands all over it, you know? So, just letting that paint sit. You can kind of move that paint, manipulate that paint, go, you know, use it to spread it around. Get right on the edge of my pedal. Yeah, that's the part I like icing. This is my favorite part too. Kind of go around, use some of this, kind of help define. Even with the red kind of, you see how the red kind of move around? I kind of like that, so I would leave that alone, you know, just kind of go around. Get some more of this green. So imagine if I did my background another color, like a blue or a pink, or let some of that pink show, so it kind of adds some more character to it. I can let some of this dark green show. And I'm just moving this paint. I'm just moving this paint around. If you are interested in painting the palette knife, I would say start off with something that you normally are already familiar with drawing or painting. So you don't have to worry about how it looks, so to speak. You're just playing around with the paint and the knife. If you're not, if you don't paint portraits and you're trying to paint a portrait with a palette knife, it's gonna be a little tough.
Well, I want to know more about the girl that you painted. Is she out of your head or?
No, it's an image that I found online. I just like the look of her face, so I just kind of got it that way.
So, do you do many? Because I've never seen.
Have I done what now?
Do you do many faces?
No, just do a few of them, yeah. I need to. Lately I've been doing abstract, so I've been playing around with abstract a lot.
And they're wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's mostly with a brush, but I've just kind of been stepping out and just doing some other things too.
Are the abstracts on your website?
Not yet. They're on my Instagram account, so you just type in my name, I'll come up.
Oh, yeah.
But they're just moving this paint around. I love how the paint feels, just kind of playing around. Even some of this red mixing in, that's okay, I like that too. Again, just try not to get too ready so it can get all muddy and start coming a whole nother color. Just have to be careful with that. Again, I like using the pointed knives better than the blunt knives because I can kind of get all inside those little small areas.
You go through a lot of paint.
Go through a lot of paint. I would love to buy golden more, but go through a lot of paint. So. A lot of times we tend to smooth out our paint when we paint with a palette knife, because that's what we do with the brush, So you have to kind of be conscious of not doing that when you paint with a palette, unless that's what you want to do. But for the most part, I notice when I do teach a palette knife painting class, a lot of people just start smoothing that paint out, and I have to tell them, let some of that paint sit, And just be okay with letting some of that paint sit, A lot of times we want to smooth it out and preserve our paint.
But it is kind of fun to scratch around.
It is kind of, yes, it does. You'll see a lot of my videos, YouTube videos, I say this all the time, but I love the scratcher sound. I love it. So I'm gonna do a little bit of that once I fill in all my greens. Move it out since I'm running out of green. You get the idea though. Sometimes time I can grab some of this paint up here, if I run out, bring it down here. Yeah, a lot of times we have a tendency of, smoothing the paint out. Try not to too much. I mean, you can, but it'll have a different look, different feel.
I can put a varnish on them.
Yes, I do. I use like a Liquitex gloss varnish.
Okay. So can you usually finish painting this fast? I mean, is it pretty normal for you?
Yeah, it's pretty normal.
So you can knock one out in less than an hour?
Yeah, I can.
How do you know when it's done?
That's a tough one.
Ask the toughest question.
I know, for every artist, right?
I guess it was time to put your kids to bed.
Yeah, pretty much. When I find myself getting too muddy or just start, I don't know, you just kind of feel it, It's more of a feeling sometimes than tell when I need to stop. And I can just put more paint on top of this. Since I have a lot of light green, let's go back to some of this green I had earlier.
Ahmad, do you ever let it sit and then go back and look at it like a week later and make changes?
Yeah, oh yeah, I've got, I have. The only downside is that the paint is dry, and I can't play around, like while it's red, it's still, wet. I can kind of play around. That's the only part about it, Sometimes what I would do, let's just say if I want to come back in and do what you just said, I don't like this green and it's dry, what I would do is paint over this red too, so it can stay wet, and then paint the green too, so both of them, so I can play around and mix both of them in there. So I do that sometimes as well. And here I can just put some dark green in here, just kind of give it some dimension. Kind of almost look like leaves a little bit. You don't have to do this, but you can. Try not to get too carried away. But this is where I like to do a lot right here, just kind of use the tip of my knife. Just kind of outline it here. Kind of scratch, do some scratching techniques, bring that down. Even kind of bring some of that yellow up here. You have to find the petal right here, fill in some of this empty space between each petal. Kind of let some of that red kind of come down here. Yeah, get that? Yes, sir. Just add a little bit more character to it. I do a lot of this with my jazz musicians. A lot of scratching.
Yeah, the blue one back there.
Yeah, oh yeah, I do a lot of scratching.
Really
Yeah.
loud. I like that.
Just kind of have to find where I want to put my pedals. Just kind of have to find these pedals a little bit. Coming in with this purple. Some more shadows in here to help that pink pop a little bit.
Excuse me just a minute, I'm gonna draw for door prizes.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
And so I'll just,
Yeah.
we'll call out names,
Okay.
but just go ahead and talk.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Gail Hurley.
Are you using the side of your Peloton?
Yeah, I'm using just the flat part of it, just the tip of it a little bit. And that's the thing too, if I press down too hard on it, I get a thicker line, so I'm just kind of not putting that much pressure to get a nice thin line on it.
Kathy Prince?
What y'all think? Y'all like it?
Oh, it's just amazing to me how fast you get it.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And it really does make me want to
Want to what?
It makes
Try
me
it,
wanna
try it, yeah, please do.
do.
Mary Roll.
I bet your apron gets really heavy.
Yeah, it does. But like I said, I use a lot, you know, I tell people use paper towels, it's so easy when, you know.
Oh, I do that, my apron has been all over it too, but yours is so thick.
Yeah.
Leslie Hare.
So that's it. Any questions?
So can we, like, come up and?
Yeah, you can. Yes, you sure can.
And also, just real quick, I would like to say thank you to Leslie and Jenny for helping us film this evening.
Yeah, you guys feel free to come up and look at the pan. Again, you can look at some of my